Ah, cos. Or some say cosm. Do you hear our prayers?
Hey there, I am Mont, you may call me Alex, and in this video we are going to talk Bloodborne lore. Specifically, we are going to be talking about two large factions of Yharnam's healing church, the School of Mensis and the Choir. These two groups overshadow much of Bloodborne's story, but only come to light during the final few hours of the game, and yet we still know so little about them. Who are they? What are their goals? Why would they be opposed to each other? Hopefully by the end of this video, we'll have some answers. So let's get started, shall we? The School of Mensis are based in the Unseen Village, and so far as we know, their basic goal is to make contact with the Great Ones. Both of these facts come from the Mensis Cage item, obtained after defeating Micolash. The School of Mensis controls the Unseen Village. This hexagonal iron cage suggests their strange ways. The cage is a device that restrains the will of the self, allowing one to see the profane world for what it is. It also serves as an antenna that facilitates contact with the Great Ones of the dream. But to an observer, the iron cage appears to be precisely what delivered them to their harrowing nightmare. On the other hand, the Choir looks to achieve true greatness with the help of the Great Ones. We learn this from the Choir set. Members of the Choir are both the highest ranking clerics of the Healing Church and scholars who continue the work that began at Byrgenwerth. Together with the left behind Great One, they look to the skies in search of astral signs that may lead them to the rediscovery of true greatness. We know that Lawrence and Willem seem to disagree on certain elements, even if they ultimately desired much the same thing. Is that important here? Are the Choir and School of Mensis born from this split? I think that is very possible, but let's go into each in a bit more detail, starting with the School of Mensis, for they play a larger role in the game, and you could say that they are the main antagonists in some ways. In many horror stories, it is a classic trope to have a group of human cultists who are seeking power or favour from demons, aliens, or something along those lines. The School of Mensis fit this trope perfectly, I believe. Starting with their name, there are some fairly obvious comments to make. Mensis refers to the moon's phases as used as a measure of time. The passage of a month, for example. The word menstrual shares this root word, the moon, a month, etc. Both terms are of course relevant to Bloodborne here. The moon is a powerful symbol in Bloodborne, and we even receive the Moon Carol rune from the Nightmare of Mensis. And then we have blood, surrogate children, infants visited by alien entities. Yes, I would say both are fitting here. The School of Mensis, a school is typically a place of learning and study. So, are they studying and learning about the cycles of the moon, and of blood? Their goals are, like so much in Bloodborne, very hard to grasp ultimately. So maybe Micolash can shed some light for us there. Whether or not he's the founder of the school is up for debate, but Micolash seems to be a high-ranking member of the school, the highest ranking that we will encounter in Bloodborne. And his dialogue during the encounter sheds a little light.
As you once did for the vacuous Rom, grant us eyes, grant us eyes. Plant eyes on our brains to cleanse our beastly idiocy. A grand lake of mud, hidden now from sight. The cosmos, of course. Let us sit about and speak feverishly, chatting into the wee hours of new ideas of the higher plane.
Here's what we can take away from it. They do not want to abandon the dream, they do not want to wake up. Micolash is trying to contact a Great One, which he seems to refer to as Cos or Cosm, and besieges it to grant him eyes, as it did for Rom. The part about the Grand Lake of Mud could be referring to the lake wherein we find Rom, or it could be something else entirely. One thing that did occur to me is that the Grand Lake of Mud could be referring to space. Space isn't really much like mud, but it's pretty grand, and you do kind of sail through space in some ways. Taking all that into account, here's what I think. The School of Mensis enacted a great ritual to enter the Nightmare Plane, which seems to be partway shifted into our own plane of reality. We can find evidence of this ritual in the Unseen Village. the Snatchers are gathering victims, and the school seek to beckon the moon. And speaking of the Snatchers, are they Thumerians? Because they're very tall and lanky and pale and incredibly powerful, so maybe. That could have some interesting implications all by itself. But the school are seeking infants, because infants seem to be useful for luring the Great Ones. Nightmarish rituals crave a newborn. Find one and silence its harrowing cry. The ritual must be stopped, lest we all become beasts. So let's take a step back real quick. From my perspective, it is Gehrman, proxy of the Moon Presence, who instigates our quest. He sends us to destroy the Nightmare Newborn, likely Murgo. It appears that if we do not, we will all become beasts. For when the moon is close, it appears the influence of the Great Ones is enough to break down the barriers between man and beast. Why does that matter to the Moon Presence and to Gehrman? Is it only Gehrman who cares? Or would that be bad for the Moon Presence too? Either way, Micolash and his companions have succeeded in their ritual and entered the Nightmare. We can find their real bodies after the battle with the One Reborn, which presumably is part of their long-term goal to make contact with the Great Ones. Why make contact with the Great Ones? Because they seek knowledge from them, I believe. Knowledge and power, so they might evolve. The School of Mensis seek evolution. Is that what the choir seek also? The left behind Great One that they are working with is almost assuredly Ebritus. Why work together? Well, it could be that Ebritus wishes to rejoin her kin. She is the daughter of the cosmos, and according to the choir, the sky and the cosmos are one. Micolash and his rantings of cos and cosm could well be alluding to the cosmos as well, for all we know. It almost puts me in mind of Erden, the formless Great One. What if the cosmos, space itself, were a Great One? And what if space itself were Erden, and Ebritus' daughter? But that's just a random thought, so back to the choir. They are rather nebulous compared to Mensis. All they have is an orphanage and a strange garden. The Lumen Flower Garden. Judging from the Yosefka questline, it appears that humans can be transformed into these celestial creatures. Is that what the choir are doing? Transforming the children of their orphanage into such things to further their ends? Maybe they think that creating these celestial children will summon the Great Ones back. Or is the term orphanage used in a more figurative sense? Can we consider Ebritus an orphan? Do the choir consider all of humanity orphans without the Great Ones? The orphanage key remarks that the orphanage was a place of experimentation where orphans became unseen thinkers for the healing church, which would imply that they were doing exactly that, and that it was not figurative but a very literal orphanage. Unseen thinkers. Remember how the doll referred to Gehrman? Just thought I'd mention that. And then, are the lumen flowers themselves used to transform children? Lumen of course means light, and as for members of the choir, even them we do not meet many. One can be found in the Unseen Village as a corpse that has been imprisoned. So why do the School of Mensis have a choir member there? Seems they aren't getting along all that well, perhaps. There are a few living members of the choir that we come across, however. Thanks to the official guide, we know the official names of all enemies, two of which are Yuri the Last Scholar, a female hunter fought in Bergenworth wearing the garb of the choir. And then we have Choir Intelligencer Edgar. An Intelligencer is essentially a spy. So we have a choir scholar and choir spy, one found in Bergenworth and one found in the Nightmare of Mensis. Indeed, it looks like the choir are taking a much quieter approach to the goings-on in Yharnam than the School of Mensis, who are threatening potentially all of humanity in search of their mad goals. But it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Perhaps we will come across further machinations of the choir during the Old Hunters expansion, and maybe we will see how the wills of Lawrence and Willem live on through the healing church's two factions.
Majestic!